right, I am going to go ahead and get started. I am so excited to do this training tonight and kick off the Impact series, which is going to be all about self-sabotage and how we can recognize these behaviors, overcome these behaviors, and notice them in our businesses and how we can make sure we recognize it when we're in that self-sabotaging mode. That way we can pull out of it. So before I get started, I want to go ahead and cite two big sources that inspired me on this training. Let me just mute really quick. So two big sources that inspired me on this training and I pulled a ton of information from. So the first source is going to be number one, my favorite book. It is called The Mountain Is You. It's by Brianna West. This book is so incredible. If you've read it, please say something in the chat about how you feel about it as well. This book I ugly cried, and I've never ugly cried besides like one of the Harry Potter books about a book in my life. And the second incredible resource that I used with this training is from a podcast that I found called Stop Self-Sabotage with Pearson. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. But first and foremost, I just want you to put our minds in the place of wants, okay? Everyone wants something, okay? We all want something. We want to be healthy. We want to be SED. We want to be at the top of the company. We want to be successful. But sometimes we get in our own way and we trip ourselves sometimes before we even get started. And then sometimes just right before we even get to the finish line. So that tripping ourselves up in the pursuit of what we want is self-sabotage. So let's dig a little bit deeper on self-sabotage. Self-sabotaging is mostly unconscious, okay? And it happens if you already know that you are a huge self-sabotager. It's not something to feel down on yourself about. It is something that happens to our SEDs, to our MDCs, to the richest people, to the famous people, to poor people. It happens to a whole wide range of people, okay? So it doesn't make us less than when we have this habit. Okay, a lot of it is unconscious. It happens to all types of people. And it's the unconscious way that we trip ourselves up to make sure that we don't get what we want. Okay, so this all comes full circle into what is called the deserve level. So this is where you want to start taking out your notebook and pen. I'm telling you, there's going to be so many nuggets. I'm just going to be spewing off. I don't have slides for you today, but the deserve level is the unconscious belief about and our feelings about what we want. So deserve level is our unconscious belief about what we feel and what we want. It's what we believe and feel that we deserve. So if you get something you really want, but you don't feel like you deserve it, chances are you're going to throw it away or you're going to stop yourself in some way. Okay, so deserve level, hope we're taking notes, is going to be that unconscious glass ceiling that we put over ourselves. No one puts it over us. We put an unconscious glass ceiling over ourselves that we use to measure the levels of self-sabotage when we need to trigger that self-sabotaging behavior. So the glass ceiling is the way that we can regulate our deserve levels. And the glass ceiling is what keeps it all in range. Okay, so if you do not believe you deserve something, you're probably going to throw it away. An example, you get a new job, then all of a sudden you start the job, you decide you wanted it so bad, and now you get it, and now you decide you don't want it anymore. You get in a new relationship, or you meet someone you really, really like, but now you're picking everything apart and trying to find different ways or that things are wrong with them, and you just want to get out of this relationship. You lose 20 pounds, and then your deserve level goes, I don't know. And then you put on the 30 pounds. Okay. That is a basic level understanding of deserve level and the foundation of it. So to dig a little bit deeper on that deserve level, there are 4 psychological qualities that make up our deserve level. Okay. So starting with number 1, the 4 psychological qualities that make up our deserve level. I'm going to talk a little bit slower now for our note takers. But the first one, this is going to be our belief system. The second one is our self-esteem. The third, self-confidence. The fourth, permission from the past. Okay, so there's 4 psychological qualities that make up our deserve level. Number 1, our belief system. Number 2, our self-esteem. Number 3, our self-confidence. Number 4, permission from our past. So number 1, let's talk about our belief system. Beliefs are the glasses, the lenses that you put on in the way that you see the world. Our beliefs are structured from our jobs, the people we surround ourselves with, our parents, schooling, culture, where we live. This all shapes our beliefs and the way that you see the world. Okay. So this is really, really interesting, and it full circles into our business. But in this podcast, the podcaster talks about a psychologist. His name is Shad Helmstetter, and he wanted to find out about beliefs around getting what you want. And he focused on hearing no. We all know we need to hear the word no a million times in our business, right? Like, we have to get no's. We need to double, quadruple the amount of no's we're getting in order to get to the yeses that we want. But what's interesting in this study, he focused on hearing no, and what he found was that on average, an average healthy all-American person, when they're growing up, they hear no, the word no, 150,000 times in their childhood. So they're getting the word no 150,000 times in their childhood. Mommy, I want this toy. No. Mommy, I want to jump off this, whatever. No, 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 no. And on the opposite end, they're getting the word yes only 50,000 times. So every time we start to go towards something, every time we decide we want something, we're programmed to tell ourselves, the answers might be no. We're programmed to tell ourselves why it might not work out. We're programmed to expect no, and sometimes even like shiver away from having to even be told no in the first place. All right, so circling this into our jobs, sometimes before we even give ourselves the shot, sometimes before we even send the reach out, we stop ourselves dead in the tracks because we tell ourselves, no, why even start? Why even give my full effort? The answer's probably going to be no. The answer's probably going to be, I don't believe in multi-level marketing. The answer's probably going to be, I don't know enough about the products. The answer's probably going to be, I already have too much on my plate. So why even send those reach outs, or why even ask my girlfriend if she wants to do this business with me when the answer is probably going to be no, because she's already making a good amount of money. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Give me a 1 in the chat if it's starting to sound a little bit familiar. Okay, to how we feel, how we're shaped, how we take action. Okay, so our beliefs have 2 super important points. And this is coming straight from the podcast I mentioned, by the way. But energy, this is the first point, energy follows thought. And it's funny, this is coming from the podcast, but it's almost identical to what you'll hear me say a million times on every training call. But number 1, energy follows thought. Whatever you think about, it creates energy. We know this, we hear this all the time. So the podcaster, Pearson, she talks about how she can make people feel depressed. You put them in a room, you isolate them, you have them watch TV for 48 hours straight, you feed them junk food for 48 hours straight. Who's ever gone into a depression hole? You just lock yourself in a room, watch TV, turn off the things, order and take out Postmates, whatever. You're going to be depressed after you do that, right? You can make people feel depressed. Energy follows thought. Okay, you will be down if you put yourself in that type of situation. If you think negative, if you take negative action, you're going to get negative. If you think more positive, you're going to get more positive. We all know this. This is Basics 101. We learn this on any manifesting call ever, right? So you can take yourself down, or you can build yourself up based on thought. Remember that word no. It's all going to align and come together. The second point on your beliefs is, whatever you think on, you get more of. So this is a line I say on almost every call. What you focus on expands. My friend, he really hurt his toe the other day. He was in a lot of pain. What I told him was, what you focus on expands. Literally try to think of anything else besides the pain in your foot right now. If you're thinking about that pain in your foot, you're going to spiral, and it's going to hurt 10 times more than it does. Okay. What you're focusing on expands. The first one was energy follows thought. The second one was whatever you think on, you're going to get more of. All research shows this in terms of longevity, health. If you focus on negativity, you get more negative. If you are 50 years old and you believe that you're 70 and it's too late for you to start your brand on social media, it's too late for you to start a new business, it's too late for whatever it is that you have dreams or aspirations to do, run that marathon, you're not going to do it because you don't believe you can, because your age has limited you. Your fixed mindset has limited you. So whatever you think on, you can get more of, or you can be that story you see in the newspaper of the 98-year-old woman that just finished the marathon. You know, you are going to be whatever you put your mind to. All right, so switching gears, here's a little exercise. I want us to, and it kind of aligns with the new year, really quickly on our paper and pen, write down 2 goals. Keep it simple, keep it fast, but the goals are going to be 1 personal, 1 professional. You're going to need them for later as we continue this activity, but think about 1 personal goal, write it down, and 1 professional goal. A minute. Give me a thumbs up when you have it down. Just a quick thumbs up. Make sure you give me the thumbs up because you never know if they're on my screen. All right, Jennifer has hers. Jasmine has hers. Allie has hers. Giving you guys about 30 more seconds. Meg has hers. All right. Next, I want you guys to write down, what are your beliefs around these goals? So you just did your 1 personal, 1 professional. What are your beliefs around them? Just write down a few beliefs around this goal, these goals. I'm going to count to 15. It doesn't have to be a full sentence, maybe just a few words. So my question to you is, do you believe this goal is really possible? Or do you have self-criticism or negativity that comes up around it? Okay, the reason that most New Year's resolutions, they don't work out, it's because we don't deal with the negativity that is there, which is great. We can set a new intention. We can get really excited about something. We could say we want something. But if you don't deal with what's going to inevitably get in your way, it's going to trip you up, and that's becomes your self-sabotage. Okay, so what we need to do in order to overcome self-sabotage, get your notes ready. Again, we're going to come back to those goals, but the first one was we need to be aware of our belief system. The second one is we need to be aware of our self-esteem. So what is self-esteem? Self-esteem is the unconditional acknowledgement that we get from our siblings, from our significant other, from our family, from our friends, from our mentors. It's that feeling of feeling loved and lovable. That's our self-esteem. That's the basis of your self-esteem. It's who you are as a person. It's who you know yourself to be. It's your humanness, your human beingness, okay? Number 3, we need our self-confidence. We have to be, in order to be complete, we have to be self-confident. Okay, so confidence is the conditional acknowledgement for performance. You do a great job, you hit MMB, you hit a new promotion, you get recognition, you get a bonus, confidence. You get your first VIP, confidence. Oh, maybe I can do this. You get a big sale, or you know, this you're getting that extra 10% commission, you get AED, confidence. Big commission, confidence. You take a test for school, you get an A, confidence. You have to do something in order to create confidence. It isn't just given, it isn't unconditional, it is based on your performance, it is human doing. I remember I heard Bianca Abreu, I've used this line quite a few times because it really painted a clear vision of what confidence was to me. But confidence is the bridge from who does she think she is on social media, posting like she's a little influencer, and oh, that is who she is. Consistency is the bridge. Consistency is the bridge to building confidence. But when you think about that consistency, what is that consistency? It's doing it over and over again, doing it when you're not ready, doing it when you're scared, doing when it feels like people are going to judge you, doing it when that new guy that you like is probably going to watch you, and now you're embarrassed because you don't want to do it, and what are they going to think? You have to keep doing it. That is going to be the bridge to building that confidence, which we need that confidence. We need that self-esteem. We need our beliefs to be in a positive place. Okay. So really quick, I want you to think about self-esteem. So remember, self-esteem is the unconditional acknowledgement. This is from your friends, your family, your siblings. But on terms of self-esteem, go back to your paper and pen, and I want you to write down, where today do you feel loved? Do you feel appreciated? Do you feel cared for? On a scale of 1 to 10, that's all we're doing. You don't need to, write anything out, but on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most loved, the most appreciated, where do you feel on the scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to your terms of self-esteem? Okay, so same rating system. I want you guys to ask yourself, how do you feel about your ability to make things happen? Where do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10 that your confidence is? How do you feel about building your team? How do you feel about building the relationship, the career, to the promotion that you want to do? How are you doing with doing? Where are you at on a 1 to 10, 10 being the highest with your confidence? Okay, so whichever rating is lowest for you, throw it in the chat. I'm curious. Whichever rating is lowest out of the self-esteem and the self-confidence. So whichever rating is lowest, this is the one that bothers you the most. This is the one that when you're alone, when you're driving, when everything is quiet in the night, this is the one that triggers you, the one that you need to be focusing on in order to grow. Okay, so circle it, and that's what you need to be doing your personal development on. More of that, okay? So going into number 4, in terms of our whole deserve level, we are looking at where we need to expand, how we need to expand our world, where we need to focus, and where we need to expand on what we need to do. Are you guys all following me? Give me a thumbs up that you guys are with me. I know I'm kind of moving fast. Okay, cool. Gosh, I love seeing so many cameras on. All right, so number 4, permission from our past, which comes from the messages that we have picked up from our father and our mother, or whoever it is that raised us. Okay, and those messages have to do with what you believe. Okay, so number 4 is permission from our past, the messages we received when we were growing up, and how they talk to you about you. Okay, so they may have said to you, you're the smart one, you're the funny one, you're the one that everyone comes to when they need something. What's funny, when I was growing up, my mom, she told me I could do anything in the world, right? She boosted my self-esteem. I was so smart. My coach would always tell me I was so book smart. I was so book smart, but I was lazy. So she would bring down my self-esteem. She would bring it up, but then she would bring it down because we were in the baton gym and it was summers and we had to be there from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And what did I want to do as a 7-year-old? I wanted to run around and play. When my baton coach wanted me to be practicing. So while I was playing, she would tell me I was lazy. Okay, so I had conflicting messages being sent to me. I'm sure some of you guys can, no, she's an amazing woman. She just didn't really know what she was doing. She was young. She was like in her 20s when this happened. So and same thing with your parents. A lot of our parents, we raised each other together. Your parents might have had you young. Parents are just trying to figure things out, and there wasn't resources like there are today. Okay, I digress, but truly, the messages that people are telling us when we are younger, it really does take an effect on us. So let's do another quick activity, and just thinking about the conflicting messages that we may receive. I want you guys to all close your eyes for a second. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. Let it all out. Let the feeling come out of you. And I want you guys to think about those 2 goals that you just wrote down. Okay, so eyes still closed. You're thinking about those 2 goals you wrote down. Now with your eyes closed, I want you guys to envision bringing your father, your stepfather, whoever, into your room, whether he's alive or not alive. And I want you to tell him about your goals. Listen to what he tells you about your ability to make those happen. And I want you to take him out of the room, keep your eyes closed. You're bringing your mother into the room. And I want you to listen to what she's telling you about your ability to make those goals happen. having her come out of the room and keeping your eyes closed. Last one, we're bringing a significant other, a coach, a husband, a wife, a best friend, girlfriend, boyfriend. It doesn't matter. You're bringing someone else into this room and you're having them tell you, you're telling them about your goals and listening to them about what they have to say about your ability to achieve them. So third party. Okay, come back. Come back, eyes open. We're back to our training. I want you guys to think about and notice that right now, those messages are still playing in your head. Am I right? They're playing in your head. It's like an old radio that keeps playing in the background. You hear it, you're thinking it, right? It's a digital loop. Those messages are under the surface, but they shape what you believe. Okay? This whole mix of things of what we work with to make sure we don't self-sabotage. This is the top 4 that we're working with, okay? And these 4 things come into place when we're making sure that we do get what we want, okay? Instead of the opposite of self-sabotaging and making sure we don't. Okay, so to understand this and to be able to do this, we need to understand the 5 different ways that we self-sabotage. So I'm going to run through these quickly, but I want you guys to take notes so you guys can come back. What are the point of all these calls? It's so we can come back, digest, read what we wrote down, and grow from these calls. And it all circles into our business because we're not going to perform to the level that we are fully capable of in our fullest potential if we allow these blocks to stay in our way, okay? So there are 5 forms of self-sabotage. The first one, excuse me, is resignation, okay? Resignation, which you may or may not, identify with all of these. You may or may not identify with only one of them. It's going to be different for everyone, but I'm going to give you all 5. So the first one is resignation, which is giving up before we even start. Maybe you haven't even sent your first reach out. Maybe you haven't even tried your first potential call. Maybe you haven't even done your first training. Maybe you haven't even asked the people on your hot list or gone back and followed up with those people that you originally reached out to a year ago. So giving up before we start, we think about our goal. Maybe we take steps towards them. We do a reel instead of our first training, but then we stop. We talk ourselves out of what we want to do. We get an offer and then we don't think we can do it, okay? So we resign ourselves to not even trying it. So for instance, you guys, amen, hallelujah to you. You all got the offer of Monique and you said, yes, I'm going to do it. But how many people are out there that say, I don't know, I don't think I'll be good at this. I can't take the chance. I can't take the risk, right? So that's an example of resignation. That's a self-sabotaging behavior. Or for instance, a relationship. We feel like we'll never be interested or we won't ever be attracted to someone again. And so we stay in a relationship that we're unhappy in because we're like, dating is too hard. I can't leave where I'm at now. It's comfortable. I can't be alone. And so we give up before we even take the risk. So 5 self-sabotage. Number 1, that was resignation. Number 2, throwing it away. I talked about this earlier, but throwing it away, we get what we want finally. We get the guy, we get the opportunity, we get the promotion, we hit MMB, and then we don't hold it. We throw it away. We don't keep recruiting. We don't stop building, or we stop building. I know there's some people on this call has done it, right? Throwing it away. You got to keep moving. We get the health, the job, because we don't believe we deserve it. We throw it away. We pick apart what we have. Once we have it, we aren't happy with it. So we throw it away. Number 3, emotions, settling. Our goals become compromised. Dude, the amount of people that left last year, let me just give you a round of applause. You're still here. You are strong. You are amazing. You are resilient. You are still here, but the people that left, it is mind-blowing. The conversations I had to hear them compromise their freaking goals. Wow. They go from telling me their biggest dreams, their biggest whys, to what they're going to settle for now. When Denise and I talk about Monet and the hardships and the ups and the downs, You know what I tell her? I can't stop because I've already dreamed too big. I can't go backwards. It's impossible. But settling, number 3, settling. I will never settle, and I don't think you are going to either. Our goals become a compromise. We don't let ourselves fully have what we want. I wanted to make 200,000. I made 150,000. So that's okay. That's pretty good year, right? So we settle for less. We tell ourselves, oh, I wanted to open up a salon. That was my why, and help my family. But, maybe I'll just like do investments and find another way to do it. And maybe won't be as grand as I dreamed of with the comp plan that Monet offers. That's settling. Number 4, denial. We deny that there's any problem at all. We minimize it. We distract ourselves from the issue. We deny the goals that we have. We don't take action. We deny that we have a problem with self-sabotaging and recruiting. We tell our upline, oh, I've been doing my reach outs. I've been doing my follow-ups. Denial. But we know the truth. Are we reaching our full potential with it or not? We have the dream, but we don't do anything to make that dream happen. That would be denial. Number 5, fatal flaw. Okay. Fatal flaw. This one is a personality, a personal characteristic that snatches defeat at the very last moment. So if you've seen the show Sex Life, this is what this one reminds me of, where on the show, he, at the very last minute, he just completely leaves her and breaks up with her out of nowhere. It's awful. If you haven't seen that show, you should watch it in non-IPA hours. Okay, so personal characteristics is right when you're about to run across the finish line. It's an anger issue. Everything is going well, but then you blow up at the very last minute and you leave the relationship. A narcissistic issue. It's all about me, and if you want to make it about you at all, then you can't be in the equation. An addiction issue. So fatal flaw. Alcohol addiction, drinking too much, sex addiction, gaming too much, you're on the phone too much, TikTok, Instagram, scrolling. Okay, that whatever it is that gets in the way of getting what you want, that is a fatal flaw characteristic. And at the last minute, so maybe it is 7 days you have until the end of the month, but in those 7 days you're like, I'm too far away. You're right next to the finish line. So instead, you go out, you drink, you go to happy hour, you go to all the events, you go play, you game, you watch a million Netflix shows. I don't know what you do. Okay, that would be an example of fatal flaw, self-sabotage, and it makes sure you don't reach what you truly want and you don't get what you deserve because of it. Okay, so those are the 5 sabotage strategies that keep you stuck in a box and that won't let you have what you want. Okay, so self-sabotage, I want you guys to think about it like this too, is also the worry that we usually have about our friends, our family, the people that we love. So for instance, I feel like this isn't actual, but an example would be, I feel like my brother is spending too much. I feel like my friend is never going to find her person because she's doing this, that, or the other. I feel like my dad is smoking too much. So we're worrying about them self-sabotaging. So going back to the 5 self-sabotaging strategies, I want you to circle which one sounds most familiar to you. And that's the one I want you to really spend time doing personal development on. Okay, you guys with me? I'm almost done. We're going to wrap this up soon. But now we got to go to the solutions. Okay, so the 4 ways to turn around your self-sabotaging behaviors. Okay, number 1, self-talk. Number 2, self-nurturing. Number 3, self-release. Number 4, self-support. So I'll do it again. Number 1, self-talk. Number 2, self-nurturing, taking care of yourself. Number 3, self-release, identifying what it is that you're doing, releasing it. And number 4, supporting, validating yourself. Okay, the combination of elements that helps get you what you want. Self-talk, number 1, is going to be the chatter that's in your head. How do you talk to yourself when you are on that drive and you are thinking about, your behaviors that you might have, kind of sabotaged on? Are you saying, oh my gosh, I'm so freaking lazy, or oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that, or oh my gosh, I could have done so much better? You have to talk yourself up. Okay, so you have to boost your own self-esteem. this is something that I wanted to bring note to you guys that I really, really resonated with. And I think is really, really smart. And I've never thought of it this way. We've been all about affirmations. I feel like 2021, I heard the word affirmations more than I ever did in my life. And, on my 6 a.m., 9 a.m. club calls, we do affirmations, right? But when you think about affirmations, people say, I will, I am, right? Am I right? You're saying, I am this, that, or the other. But what you have to remember is that we have this little inner critic that's in the back of our mind that says, no, you're not. No, you're not. So you say, I am going to be, a top fitness performer. And that little inner critic in the back of your mind is like, no, you're not. You just ate a bag of Doritos and corn dip last night on the couch. What are you talking about? Right? So instead, I love the science behind this. Use the words, I choose. I choose to go out and exercise for 20 minutes. I choose to learn what I need to learn in order to level up my business, to level up my recruiting. I choose to make the time to recruit and to build my business. Okay. This puts the power back in you. It takes the power out of the inner critic and it puts the power back in you for you to believe, because that's so, so important. We covered that, what you're saying. You hear the term fake it till you make it. People didn't fake it until they make it and then make it. They made it because they believed it. So I love the term also from Bianca Abreu, faith it until you make it. You have to believe. And part of that belief is telling the truth when you're talking to even yourself. So I choose to believe that when here's an example, going on online dating, that there is a good guy out there for me. Okay. Positive makes you feel good. Put I choose in front of the statements about your goal when you say things. That way you will believe them. Okay. A quote that I wrote down that I really wanted to share with you guys from this book, The Mountain Is You, is when we release, we are wiping the slate clean. When we are releasing, we are wiping the slate clean to create something better. One of the most common pitfalls of people who try but do not succeed in releasing their past is that their focus remains on just that, the past. The truth about your psyche is this: anything that is new, so all of the things that we just discussed, anything that is new, even if it is good, will be uncomfortable until it is also familiar. Okay, so change, whether it's a change in your routine, which I'm going to talk about my routine before we jump off, whether it's a change in your belief system, the change, whether positive or not, it's always going to be uncomfortable. And your body, your brain is designed to avoid new routines, to help our brain and our body stay in a place of comfort. That's where we're programmed to always want to be. So when we try to level up, when we try to mix things up, when we try to do more, our body does everything it can to self-sabotage and stay comfortable and to stay where we are comfortable being. Okay. This other line, the more you avoid fear, the more intense it becomes. You avoid posting on your social media. You avoid doing your reach outs. You avoid doing your follow-ups. And before you know it, it becomes the most uncomfortable fear and just frustration to even get going, to even start. So the more you avoid it, the longer you just don't force yourself to throw yourself into it, the more intense it's going to become, till before you know it, it's been a year and you've only recruited 3 people or 5 people or 10 people in a year or no people. What do we need to do in this business? We need to build our teams. Okay, so this is why, and this is actually from my therapist, exposure is the most common treatment for irrational fear. So when I'm uncomfortable doing something, she literally makes me go do it. I had social anxiety earlier last year after I'd gone through a breakup, and she would literally encourage me and force me to go into social situations that I would literally be crying, I don't want to do it. And she'd be like, do it. And so I would do it. And I would come back to my next session like, I did it. It was great. Exposure therapy. Okay. So exposure therapy to yourself with your reach outs, with your content, whatever it is. So by reintroducing the stressor into your life in a safe way, you are able to reestablish a line of thinking that is healthier and calmer because you do it, you're used to it. It's fine. You get comfortable with it. And basically you prove to yourself that you'll be okay, even if it's something scary, like getting a no, answering a million tedious objections. And in time, it's not scary anymore. It just becomes your second nature. Okay, so often in our life, our biggest anxiety comes not from what's actually happening or what we're going to actually receive, but it's about how we think about what is happening. And in that, when we just put ourselves in that exposure, we reclaim our emotional freedom and our power. Okay. I have so many notes to go on to this. That's 9:38. Okay, so I'm going to hit 3 more points, and then I'm going to end with what I've done to change with my 8 IPAs, because what I'll tell you guys is, and I think that there's a lot of people that can relate to this. In our business, we want to do what's fun. What's fun? For some of us, what's fun is creating content. Okay. For some of us, what is fun? It's going in the group chats. For some of us, what's fun? Me, it's doing trainings. For some of us, what is fun? It is going to be doing events. You know, all of us have a different level of fun. Some of us have fun going into our back office and staring at it and pressing refresh. Okay. But or working with your team and talking to your team. And, you know, for me in this past year, when I really took a step back and I analyzed my personal business, I spent the majority of my time, probably in the last 2 years. First year was all about me. The second and third year, I spent so much time trying to this chat, this team, that team, help this person, one-on-one here, one-on-one there, team. And at the end of the day, you hear this all the time. We have to focus on 80% us first, our business first, 20% our team. You can't pour into your team until you've poured into yourself. You can't inspire your team until you have done the results yourself, right? So I'm going to lead into what I've done to change with that. But another important note before we move into that, to kind of just go back into that feeling of comfort that I was talking about, I want you guys to remember this. Our brain, and this is coming straight from, I'm telling you, this book is absolutely incredible. I've read it multiple times. Our brain is designed to resist what we really want. So if you want SED, you want MMB, whatever it is, our brain is designed to resist it. Something interesting happens in the human brain when we get what we want. So let's say we get MMB for the first time, or we get MMP for the first time. When we imagine what goals we want to achieve, we often do so with the expectation that they'll elevate our life or our quality of life in some tangible way. And once we've arrived at that place, we hit SED, we'll be able to coast. Oh, I'm an SED now. Now I can just go out there and live life. So that's just not the case. Okay. And this is one of the reasons, or maybe you think you're going to hit MMB and you can just sustain that, and you're going to have that nice solid $1,500, $2,000 paycheck, whatever it is. And that's all you need. So you're going to coast. It's not the case. You have to keep building. You have to sustain that. What gets you to MMB is not going to keep you at MMB. Just like Nicole said on our last call, what got her to MMP didn't keep her at MMP. Okay. So this is one of the many deep reasons that we deeply sabotage what we truly want, is we know instinctively that arriving to these promotions or whatever it is that we want won't really give us the ability to abstain from life. It will only make us hungrier for more. So we know that at a deep level in our conscious, and sometimes we don't feel up to the challenge. I don't want to do the work to hit MMB because now I have to be a leader. Sometimes we don't feel up to that challenge. So while we're on our way, the toxic cocktail of neurological biases start piling up on one another, and we start to resent, judge, and even vilify the object of our greatest desire. You guys, I've had someone tell me that they wanted senior executive director for 3 years in a row, and that their idol was this person, that person, and this person, and then flip a switch on me and tell me that they don't align with those people because they're flashy, they travel too much. Meanwhile, a year prior, that's all they said that they wanted. Okay, but their neurological system started to vilify those things because they started to realize that arriving upon those, they weren't going to be able to just coast. What happens when we start to chase what we really want? We resist doing the work that it takes to actually get it because we're so afraid of not having it. So any brush with failure makes us rescind our effort and we tense up. Okay, so if this is happening to you right now, we got to snap out of it. We got to go back to our self-confidence, our self-esteem. We have to, you are getting a call right now that is giving you tools, that is giving you resources to understand behaviors and to stop while we are ahead any form of self-sabotage to getting what you truly want. Do not settle. Do not settle for less. Okay, because if you're stuck in any way in 2021, it's time to break that. And it might be, it's coming from that book as well, because you're waiting for a big bang. You're waiting for a big breakthrough. You're waiting for that moment in which all of your fears, they're dissolved and you're overcome with this clarity. And all of a sudden your personal transformation, now you're all of a sudden a master content producer. It rips you from this complacency that you've been feeling and you wake up to a new existence. That moment is never going to come. And if you keep waiting for it, you're going to keep self-sabotaging and you won't make it. We won't make it. Okay. So in this book, it talks about the mind-blowing singular breakthrough is not what changes your life, but it's your micro shifts in your life every day. Those small periods of flux that those micro shifts happen, those tiny little 1% better a day. You wake up a little bit earlier. You set a schedule and maybe it didn't fully work out. So you micro shift that schedule. You tweak it just a little bit more to do better. Okay. So for me, I talked about 80% you, 20% your business. And this is my last point in the call. I talked about what I personally did, what I have personally experienced where I enjoy going to my teams first. I enjoy one-on-one connection. I enjoy training. I enjoy that level of impact. That might be different for you. So for me, I had to really take a look in December when I reflected on my year and say, okay, how can I get out of the habit of first going to my team, at first going to the reports, at first helping people on, hey, like I see that you're not seeing this. So here are the things that I see that could help you. Okay. How do I prevent myself from going to them and helping them first? You know, just like on the airplane, they say like you have to put on the mask before you put it on your children. Same thing with mentorship. So I have committed to myself. I am on, today is day 3 and it hasn't worked perfect. And if you're going to try and implement or duplicate this in any way, I'm warning you, it ain't easy. But every day I do a little bit of a tweak to my schedule. Today was extremely hard with this call, but this is my personal business I'm doing daily. Okay. So the first one that I'm starting out with is a 10-10-10-10 reach out / networking using a Google Sheet. Okay. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm going to break it down. So I use a Google Sheet to keep everything very organized. If you're my level 1, you've seen this sheet, but in this, I'm doing 10 new people added to my network. So I'm doing the old fashioned way of liking their photo, commenting on a photo, blah, 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 blah. I do post notifications so I can pay attention to them, but I put them in my screen, my spreadsheet so I don't forget about them. So I'm adding 10 new people to my network. I'm doing 10 cold reach outs from people that are already in my Google Sheet. I've been doing this for a little while, this portion. So 10 cold reach outs, 10 people added to my network for later, 10 hot / warm. So it could be either combo progressions, follow-ups, or reach outs. So I have to come to 10 in my hot and warm network only. So it could be 2 combo progressions with someone I talked to yesterday, 2 follow-ups with someone I talked to last week, 4 new reach outs, 2 more follow-ups. So I just have to get to 10 between my hot and warm market of combo progressions, follow-ups, and reach outs. Okay, this, I have an hour timer that I'm not allowed to do anything else on my phone besides just this. So that's number 1. It's 4 hours total. That's my first hour block for my personal business. Okay. So the first day I tried this, didn't even come close to the full 4 hours. So I had to wake up earlier. Okay, so my next hour block, this is to fill my need of what I like about this business. I like systems. I like helping. So for the next hour, I'm only focused on resources, my team resources, whether that is, I have a whole, it's called to-do notes in my phone. I have a whole thing of everything that, every training that I know my team needs. So I'm either working on that training, maybe I'm fixing up my boards, maybe I'm fixing, there's a whole list of things that I have personally that I know my team needs. And if you don't have a list for what your team of whether 1 or 2 is, I suggest you start making it, because you're not supposed to wait for your upline to do it for you. Okay. So, and how I could come up with that list is, what is my team asking? What questions? One person might say, how do you follow up with this? And I'm going to be like, oh, this person has a question on here. Now I'm going to do a training on these types of follow-ups. Boom. That's something on my list. Okay. My third one, master my craft, which is an hour of just recruit. I'm like on this recruiting secret spree. So research on recruiting, research on building my social media brand, things I can pour back into my team, building my blog, an hour of just mastering my craft, getting better at recruiting. Maybe I'm watching a training on how to recruit that I saw someone just dropped. And then my last hour, this is just for me personally. I've been in this business for since 2018. It's just follow-ups and combo progressions. My goal is to one day get all the way back to 2018, August 2018, that I've gone through every single DM in my phone. It's very hard. So that's it. Those 4 hours. And in that, I'm going to build a team, a bigger team. I'm going to have results. I focused on me. Okay. I'm also going to be adding in VIPs, things like that. So this isn't just completely set in stone, but right now, my personal business, it needs a big, large focus on build, build, build. So that's where I'm at. That's what I want to share with you guys. I hope that this call was helpful when it comes to understanding, identifying self-sabotage. And then, like I said, what I'm personally doing with the 80% me, 20% you is complete, or 20% team is completely different what you might need to do. So take a look at your business and identify, what do I need to do differently to level up, and make sure that that 80% is you, and you have a schedule, you have blocks, and you're busting your butt every day to not self-sabotage those blocks. All right, guys, I love you. I'd love to see takeaways in the chat, and have a good night.